So today we talk about what happens if civilization is no longer what it was or what it used to be or how we know it as, right? Let's begin. So, what is civilization? We grow up, right? We go to school. Hopefully, we go to college. We pay taxes. We get a job, right? All these things, we pay for gas. All these things is like normal civilization, right? We go to the market, we get our eggs, our food, right? Normal basic things, right? That incorporates one another, civilians, right? It's civilization. It's how this world as we know it functions. And what happens if there's a tamper in, let's say, for example, taxes? The government is no longer getting money, right? If there's a tamper in the way government is uh, authorizing their authority, right? It kind of disrupts civilization as we know it, right? And it's kind of hard to say it. Civilization. I feel like I'm missing a letter or a syllable or something. But the main thing is, okay, so what could happen, right? We know that, hey, if you go to college, it's still not guaranteed that you're going to get a job right after. And it's apparent that even our parents are still working the jobs that they grew up basically working at, right? So if all these old folks are staying at the job that they're currently at, and there's a rush of just an influx of new breeds of fresh meat, right? Of them wanting to get work, who may even be more qualified, or capable than the average Joe that already has the established union job or corporation that they're a part of. Um, what happens in that scenario, right? Well, and let's bring it back some. We know that people in general, right now, as we know it, people don't want to work. You know, I know a lady that she basically just gets, her, I guess, government money. I don't know how that works. I don't involve myself with that kind of stuff. I don't take anything for free. Um, but yeah, she gets free money, and that's basically how she like rides throughout her day to day. And more power to her, right? But the problem with that is, hey, she's chunky, she's fat. She has a baby that she happened to have with a married man. So again, everybody has their own story, background, and everything. I'm not here to judge, but it's like, okay, she's basically getting free money. She's able to survive, right? And whatever little scraps that she can get, I'll meet her at Starbucks, and she'll be like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna go get my nails done," and she'll get like all these extra amenities, right? Of just living a life, which is cool for her, right? If it's extra, why not? But this is my stick. I'd be practicing swinging from both sides. But yeah, I use this stick. I sometimes get a lemon. I toss it up, and I hit it on both sides. Kind of fun. Brings back as you're like a little kid. What a lot of kids don't do is play outside, do little things like this, throw a ball against the wall, um, and stuff like that is, I would say, more fun. But again, it's every scenario, every aspect of life. I like video games in this certain everything's different in its own time. But so let's say everything's different in civilization, right? Cool. Now what? Well, if not too many people could get jobs, right? That we were essentially indirectly promised, right? Well, what can we do? Well, you can continue to keep trying to get those jobs. Hopefully, somebody sees you and they recognize your uh, potential, right? Potential that hasn't been realized yet. Um, but obviously, you need to show a glimpse of something, right? And that's why making videos like this is necessary. posting is necessary, whether people are watching or not. It just takes one person to, maybe on Twitter, they're searching a keyword, boom, and it happened to be your word or maybe a name, right? And then they see your stuff, and then that one person's like, hey, oh, dang, all this stuff is pretty cool, you know? And that's all it takes, you know? So if you have interesting ideas, and I did kind of say on a post, like, oh, ideas don't mean anything. I was exaggerating, but ideas are still cool, you know? Let's bring it back to civilization. It's not as we know it to be, right? So before COVID-19 happened, right? I think we were more closer together, right? We were more family oriented. And whether it be because of COVID-19 or whether it be because of other scenarios, it may be a culmination of all of it, right? Friends, and nobody's really hanging out with anybody. So I think social media is really that separator to not only find your key groups, right, but to show who you are, you know. Let nothing go to waste as you're alive. You know, if you have good ideas, post them. If you have some funny jokes, say them, you know. If you look good, post, you know. You may get a lucky guy and just hit you in the DM, right? But even a lot of stuff like that is, everybody's so scared, I think, too. Which, it's the internet, you know. Everybody's also a little standoffish. But I'm getting off topic. So what's the point of this video? Civilization as we know it. All right, so what happens when there's no more work? Well, let's bring it back, you know. What kind of skills do you know? Like the hunters and gatherers, some knew how to hunt, others knew how to nurture or build shelter, you know. And I think being in groups is necessary, or at least finding within your neighborhood, being a little more close. You know, it takes a willingness to reach out. It takes selflessness, you know, not selfishness. And it takes posting and finding that group. So it's not going to be very quick, but that's why posting will never hurt you. It will only help you, you know. And if you have some dark thoughts or dark experiences or traumas, and sometimes the way you express things is a bit dark, right? I recommend writing it out. Check out my poems. I write one daily. But yeah, it's mainly just for fun, you know. It's me in the moment thinking, and I'm like, okay, what would make a good story, you know? Novel, story. I'm not saying everything's real, you know. It's mainly for enjoyment, you know. But if civilization changes, right, it's gonna change our idea of what school is. School is no longer, hey, I have to go here to get here. No, I think your greatest asset is in here, the desire to want to learn, to acquire more knowledge, to not be so I know everybody talks about being specialized. Yes, I think it's necessary, right? But I think we're so complex as human beings, right, that we can be specialized in one thing and continue to learn in other aspects, right? Cooking, working, body parts, muscles, all these things are important, you know. But yeah, I think the main point where I want to get to here is know to provide for yourself, or at least get in that route, you know, to be a valuable, right? Valuetainment, which is one of the YouTube channels that really got me started in desiring knowledge. If you watch Valuetainment, a lot of the stuff he talks about, Patrick Bet-David, is be valuable, be attractive, not so much in a physical sense, although obviously when the time is necessary we are attractive, right? But I'm mainly speaking from an attractive sense of be valuable to the collective as a whole. Like me sharing knowledge, sharing my 2 cents. You don't have to take anything, but yeah, the main thing is never leave anything out the table. Anything can change in an instant, and have faith that the outlook of life is going to be better than what it is today. And if it's not, it's teaching you a lesson. God bless you.